Hello guys, it is me again, it's HorrorFan34, and welcome back to another video. This is going to be another list video. Since I just came off of doing my top 20 favorite horror films from the 2000s, from 2000 to 2009, I figured, you know what, let's go back a little bit, and we'll do my top 20 favorite horror films from the 1990s. Like I said before, these lists are really difficult to make. I mean, the one from the 2000s was pretty tough. This one was really tough too. There's a lot of really good horror films that came out in the 90s, and you know, I mean, there are so many out there I could have picked, but these are my personal choices for my top 20, and I hope you guys enjoy my top 20 favorite horror films from the 1990s. So that's anywhere from 1990 to 1999. So let's get on to my top 20 favorite horror films from the 90s. Coming in at number 20 would be Cube. Very underrated horror film from the 90s, Cube, about a bunch of people trapped in this cubic maze thing, and then they have to try to figure out a way to get out of it. And if they go through the wrong way, they get killed in these traps. It's a really cool movie. I love the whole setting in this cubic maze thing. It has a really solid cast. I think it's directed really well too, and I just really enjoy Cube a lot. I don't have much more to say about it, but that's definitely number 20. Coming in at number 19 would be The Relic, directed by Peter Hyams, who I really enjoy as a director. This is the one that's about the creature in the museum. And it's a really cool creature feature film. I know it came out around the same time as Mimic. That's another one that could have made my list as well. I really enjoy Mimic. But I always thought The Relic was a really underrated creature feature film. And I love the whole setting in the museum, and I like the cast. You know, Penelope Ann Miller, Tom Sizemore. I just think it's a really solid creature film. But I don't think many people talk about The Relic. It's a really solid film. It's definitely why it's number 19. Coming in at number 18 would definitely have to be In the Mouth of Madness. Really underrated John Carpenter film, which I know Scream Factory just released a Blu-ray of this with a lot of new features on it, which I want to get at some point. But In the Mouth of Madness, one of the more underrated John Carpenter films that doesn't get talked about as much as things like Halloween or things like that. But I always really enjoyed In the Mouth of Madness. I always thought it was underrated. I like Sam Neill. And it's a really cool premise, too. I love the whole premise of the film as well. Definitely number 18 for me. Let's see here. Coming in at number 17 is, without a doubt, Stephen King's It. I've talked about this film already a few times before, but I really enjoy this film. It's probably my favorite miniseries based on the Stephen King novel. It has a really great cast, too. You have Tim Curry as Pennywise, the late great Harry Anderson, who passed away this year. Then it's Christopher, Richard Mazer, Annette O'Toole, Tim Reed, John Ritter, who's no longer with us, Richard Thomas, and the kid actors like John Randis, Emily Perkins, Seth Green. I always really enjoy it. Always love this film a lot. My favorite miniseries. Love it. Coming in at number 16 is a really underrated film as well. I don't think many people talk about this film, but I really love this movie. That's Flatliners. Flatliners is a film that I always thought was a really cool movie. It has a really cool premise to it about these people who flatline themselves and they come back and then like there's something haunting them. It's such a creepy, well done, cool horror film. And it has a really good cast as well. Julia Roberts, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, William Baldwin, Oliver Platt. It's directed very well by Joel Schumacher. Joel Schumacher, I really enjoy as a director. You know, DC Cab, this film, Falling Down is probably my favorite one that he did. Joel Schumacher has done a lot of fairly good movies. The Lost Boys is another good one. But I really love Flatliners. Did not care for the remake at all. The remake I was not a fan of. This is definitely a lot better. Has a better cast, too. It's the cooler film. I love the original Flatliners. It was a film that did not need to be remade in the first place anyway, and it's a film that not many people even know about anymore nowadays, so I don't know what was the point of remaking it. Coming in at number 15 would have to be Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight. You know, I don't know what it is. Like the very first thing that pops up in my head when I think of Demon Knight is the scene with Billy Zane. You know, you hold on, well then there. You know, I love Billy Zane is. This is probably my favorite character role that Billy Zane played. You know, Billy Zane is just having a lot of fun doing this role. William Sadler's your lead. I think he does a great job as well. You know, Tales from the Crypt Demon Knight, I don't own it. I want to get it at some point. I know there's a Blu-ray from Screen Factory with a lot of stuff on it. I definitely want to get that at some point because I really love Demon Knight. I always thought that was a really good one as well. Now, coming in at number 14 is a really unknown film that I don't think many people even know about. And it's really underrated. I probably should have brought this up when I did my top 10 favorite underrated serial killer films. And this is, I completely forgot about this film. I forgot to talk about it, and I was kicking myself for not talking about this movie. But I'm going to mention it now. But it's such an underrated film. And I want to make sure I'm getting the number right. Okay. Yeah. Coming in at number 14 is Resurrection. Resurrection is a film where if you like I said before, I should have mentioned this when I did my top 10 underrated serial killer films. If you enjoy serial killer films, here's another one you definitely have to check out. It's about two cops. One of them is played by Christopher Lambert from Fortress, among other stuff as well. It's about a serial killer, about these two cops who are trying to investigate these murders, and there's a serial killer on the loose, and he's with his victims. He's taken their body parts because he wants to rebuild the body of Jesus. Pretty messed up plot, but it's a really kind of a different kind of a story for a serial killer film, and it takes place around the same time as like Easter, I think. It takes place around that time, I think. But Christopher Lambert's really good. It's directed by Russell Mulcahy, same guy that did Highlander, did this film. But yeah, this is definitely an underrated gem that you have to check out. If you enjoy films like Seven or things like that, you definitely got to give this one a watch. Let's see. Coming in at number 13 is Tremors. Without a doubt, probably my favorite Kevin Bacon movie. Tremors. I love Tremors a lot. Him and Fred Ward have off-the-charts chemistry. You know, it's just... I don't need to say more about Tremors. It's a classic. Coming in at number 12 would be Dead Alive by Peter Jackson. Without a doubt, the goriest film I think I've ever seen ever. This is just a film that's just filled to the brim with gore. I mean, the whole lawnmower scene and all that stuff. I mean, you know, Peter Jackson back in the day did a lot of really cool films before he got into like the big mainstream stuff like Lord of the Rings and King Kong, among others. But he really did a lot of really cool films back in the day. Heavenly Creatures, Bad Taste. I believe he did The Frighteners too with Michael J. Fox. I think that's a really cool one too. But Dead Alive is a really good movie. I really enjoyed Dead Alive. I'm probably going to stop here, and I'll do the top 10 in the final part. So I'm going to mention one more, and then I'll cut off for part 2 in the final part because we're getting onto the top 10 in that part. But coming in at number 11 would have to be The People Under the Stairs. One of the more underrated Wes Craven films. It's a really crazy film, and I really like the cast. Brandon Quinton Adams, you know, Jesse Hall from the Mighty Ducks films, Ving Rhames. I think it's just a really solid flick by Wes Craven. I really do miss Wes Craven a lot, so I think that's definitely why The People Under the Stairs is my number 11 choice. Alright, so now since we're getting to the top 10, I'll stop here, because we already went through 20 through 11, and then we'll get through 10 through 1 on the next part. So I'll see you guys in the next part.